Yo, what's good? It's your boy Derek Branch here of SportsView360.com, covering the New Orleans Saints. And today I just want to talk about the latest news concerning the team as they continue to build out their new coaching staff. That will be under the watch of new head coach Kellen Moore. Recently, they've pretty much hired everybody that's going to be working with the offensive side of the ball. And now they have shifted towards the defensive side, and that starts with the hiring of Brandon Staley. Not really surprised by this move. A lot of people know it was going to happen eventually. Next week is the NFL Combine, so at a minimum, you're going to have your defensive coordinator going with you to the NFL Combine with the rest of the staff. So Brandon Staley is the newest defensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints. As many of you already know, Brandon Staley was the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, was the defensive coordinator. Well, not a defensive coordinator, he was an assistant with the San Francisco 49ers last season. Did some time with Sean McVay as their defensive coordinator with the Rams. And that pretty much led to him getting the job with the Chargers because that defense was that good. So, with that being said, man, this pretty much, usher in a new era of football for New Orleans Saints on the defensive side. On defense, Dennis Allen, has been his fingerprints has been on the defensive side for so long, and now we're finally getting some a change of pace. This guy's probably gonna run an entirely different defense when he takes the reins as the defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. A lot of things. It's going to be really interesting to see what he does with the personnel. What does he think of the personnel? What does he think of players like Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Will Harris, Brian Brzee, Binky, Colin Saunders, Nathan Shepard, that whole crew, Alante Taylor, Paulson Adebo. What does he think of that whole crew? Because a 3-4 defense that he's running, that he's known for running, you gotta have at a minimum, you gotta have a really good defensive tackle to plug up the middle, to plug up those holes. You know what I'm saying? To disrupt that pocket. You need a guy like a Vita Vea in your defensive line. That's what you need. A player like a Vita Vea. Because that's what Tampa Bay does. We got Brian Brzee. He's really good at getting after the quarterback as a pass rusher, but stopping the run is not his thing, at least for right now. You know, I think, you may have to go in the draft and find you a nose tackle that can play that line because a 3-4 calls for 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers. And I'm not sure. Well, I know, but I'm not. The Saints don't have the typical linebackers that you can use for a 4-3 defense, for a 3-4 defense. I don't even think we have the edge rushers to use for a 3-4 defense. You know what I'm saying? A 3-4 defense, not a 4-3 defense. A 4-3 defense is four down linemen, 3 linebackers. That's what the Saints have. That's what the Saints have been running since Dennis Allen took over. But this is a 3-4 defense, something that's entirely different. I don't think we have the linebackers to, really run this defense like it's supposed to. You know, Demario Davis, he could be, you know, a middle linebacker, but I'm not sure Caden Ellis is the type of not Caden Ellis, excuse me. Pete Warner is the type of guy, and Alex Orji is the type of linebackers that can blitz like that relentlessly. that could come off the edge. And that's what you need in a 3-4 defense. I think right now, if you ask me, you know, in my opinion, I don't think the Saints will go right away into a 3-4 defense under Brandon Staley until you get the right personnel in here. Unless he comes in and clean house. Now, I highly doubt that he does that. I think a lot of guys like Cam Jordan may be asked to take pay cuts. Demario Davis as well because of the cap situation. We'll see how it all play out, man. But I don't think the Saints are going to come in right away. I don't think the Saints right away are going to um, go into this 3-4 defense unless they find the personnel. They get the right personnel in the building. We don't even know who is. Even though they've hired Staley to become the next defensive coordinator, there's been no word on who's going to be the secondaries coach, the defensive line coach, linebackers coach. So he has to come in and build out his staff. You know. So, but I mean, I think it has the potential to be a really good unit, but not now. I think right now, if you can, stay in the 4-3 until you get the proper personnel to run this defense. Or is Cam Jordan going to adapt? Going to want to adapt at this point in his career to a 3-4? Because 3-4 only calls for three linemen on the defensive line, three linemen, and then with that three, you got to have a massive nose tackle, and the Saints don't have that right now. Kyle Sanders, I don't know if he can do that. Brian Brzee definitely can't do it. Nathan Shepard, he can't do it. You got to find somebody like a Vita Vea, man, that could collapse that pocket. In the draft, I think you can find that type of player in the draft. You know, so we'll see how it all play out. Some stats for Brandon Staley when he was with the Chargers, not the Chargers, the Los Angeles Rams. Rams were ranked in 2020. Rams were ranked first in total defense by only allowing 281.9 yards per game. They ranked first in scoring defense with 18.5 points per game. They ranked first in passing yards with 190.7 yards per game. And they ranked first in rushing defense by only allowing 91.3 yards per game. That's what the 2020 Los Angeles Rams accomplished under the watch of Brandon Staley as the defensive coordinator. He likes to use, based on what I've read, he likes to use a lot of, you know, switch between odd and even defensive fronts, things like that. We'll see how it all play out, man. But what he accomplished with the Rams in 2020 is what led him to get this job. You know, and that's kind of like the benefits of coaching under Sean McVay. If you link up with Sean McVay and excel at whatever specialty you're good at, that's a chance of you becoming a head coach, and that's what happened with Brandon Staley with the Chargers, with the Rams. He got the Chargers job, and they had some good teams, but only one of them went to the playoffs. He only been to the playoffs once. The year after that, it pretty much came crashing down, but he was on the receiving end of one of the largest, the losing end of one of the largest deficits in NFL history. Blew up. I think it was a 27-point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So there's that. And he also, the reason why he got fired too was he was always going for it on 4 down. Very always into analytics and things like that. That kind of got him in trouble with analytics. going for it on fourth down. Like in his press conferences, kind of looked like he was always act like he was the smartest guy in the room. But we'll see how it all play out, man. Um, Not really surprised by the hire. You know, it was being talked about when Kellen Moore was going to become the talk of Kellen Moore was going to become the head coach. He was the first name that came about that people thought he was going to get the job because they know each other from the time with the Chargers. So he was Kellen Moore was Brandon Staley's offensive coordinator. Now it's vice versa. Now it's the roles reversing where Kellen Moore is the head coach. Brandon Staley is the defensive coordinator. You know, and that's how it works out in coaches circles, man. You know, coaches, new head coaches are going to hire the people that they're familiar with, that they've worked with in the past, and that's what Kellen Moore is doing. You know, hire. He got some players. He got some coaches that has experience with the Saints in the past, but for the most part, it's mostly hires that he has worked with in previous stops. So like Doug Nussenmeyer, Chase Haslett. He worked with all those guys in Dallas. You know what I mean? So there you have it, Brandon Staley, Saints' new defense coordinator. We'll see how it all play out, man. But we'll see. You know, I don't think he's gonna turn things or right away. I don't think he's gonna turn things around right away in year one. I don't think the Saints are gonna be this top 10 defense. I don't think that's gonna happen right away, but it'll happen slowly. It happen maybe down the road, but we'll see how it all play out once he gets the right personnel in the house to build his 3-4 defense so it can be effective. Okay. All right, and some other news I want to talk about. I got this information from Pro Football Network on the other day, and that was they've started to make their bold predictions, early bold predictions for how things could play out 2025. And what's now called Pro Football and Sports Network because they cover the sports like the NBA, the NFL, NHL, things to that matter. But before that, they were called just Pro Football Network, PFN.com. So they believe that the Saints will finish closer to 9 wins, you know, than the 5 wins they had last season. And they based this off of, according to the write up, they based this off of Derek Carr coming back. That's what they're really basing this off of. Derek Carr coming back, the injuries that happened last year. That was a lot of national people felt as though the Saints had a good team before those injuries that mounted up. But that's small sample size. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but that those small sample size we got from the Saints in those first 2 weeks against the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers, that sold a lot of people. A lot of national people looked at that, and they're still talking about that. So they think because the Saints gonna have a top 10 pick, in the draft, they can add some value there. You bring back Derek Carr, and then they look at his numbers and all that, talking about the difference in quarterback ranking and all that compared to when Carr was out of the lineup. I mean, on paper, a healthy team, the Saints are not bad on paper when players are healthy. You got your Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Foster Moreau, um, Cam Jordan, Eric McCoy, the center, Trevor Penning, even though he has his moments, showed some improvement last season. Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, like I said, Kendrick Miller. If these guys can stay healthy for at least 80 to 90%, 85 to 90% of the season, Saints probably can win 9 games. You know what I'm saying? 9 games. And my thing is, if you move on from Carr, can you still do that? Can you pull that off with Spencer Rattler at quarterback or somebody else? Justin Fields. You know what I mean? Because they base it off of Derek Carr coming back. You know what I'm saying? And I mean his stats, man. A lot of people look at Carr's year, they feel as though he had a really good season and all that, but the team didn't go nowhere, man. You know, you're paying Carr all this money, and you're not getting that. You're not going anywhere. Quarterback, man, a quarterback like Derek Carr getting paid what he's getting paid, you should at least be competing for the NFC South title. You should at least win the division. With your quarterback that's getting paid, what Derek Carr is getting paid, you know. So, what they were saying is that no, like I'm just going to read it. They say in 2024, no team had a greater difference between quarterback plus ranking for their leader in pass attempts, QB 11 ahead of Sam Darnold and Jordan Love, and the offense, plus Mark 22nd ranking just behind the Colts, ahead of the Panthers. The Saints has the talent at skill position spots when healthy, and they could add to it in April. You don't have to think Derek Carr is elite. You just have to trust him to get the most out of those around him. I mean that's true, but it's gonna be all up. It's gonna be up to what Kellen Moore decides, man, and the Saints brass. You know, cap. They get some cap relief this season because of the cap going up, but it's still not to where that puts the Saints, you know, in that spot where you can go out there and add talent to your roster. But it is relief because of the cap going up. They get some help, and it does make it a lot easier to move off a car. You don't even have to touch Carr's contract. That's another thing that came about. You just let it run out. Have running back record this season as a bridge and let it fall off the books. We'll see how it all play out, man. But we'll see how it all play out. Um, the fact that you want to run a 3-4 defense and not really have the personnel, in my opinion, yet complicates things. But we'll see. We'll see what Brandon Staley decides. You got Paulson Debo, he's a free agent. You know, Will Harris, he's a free agent. So we'll see how it all play out, man. But 9 wins, I mean, I can see it. I can see it with a Derek Carr. I can also see it with a Spencer Rattler. I can see, I can see this team competing for a playoff berth with Spencer Rattler if players can stay healthy. If you have a really good draft, yeah. If you have a 2017 like draft, I can see that happening where you draft players that could come in and contribute right away. That's a possibility. And this team is really good in Kellen Moore's first year. But there's a lot of question marks, man. In my opinion, about the defense. That defense is old and slow. And I don't know if you got the linebackers, that type of speed at linebacker to run a typical 3-4 defense that can be very relentless and can stop the run. Because that's what Tampa Bay runs. And you see how the linebackers are when the Saints play the Buccaneers. When it was, Levante David and Shaq Barrett, Devin White. Those guys were sideline to sideline linebackers. You know? So we just gotta wait and see, man. But I see 9 wins. I do see 9 wins as well. I won't be shocked by it, but a lot of question mark until we see, you know, changes being made to this team. I'm gonna be a little skeptical. You know, right now, just early until I'll usually wait until August, September to go with my predictions and all that. But right now, I just see a 7 to 8 win team right now. with the Saints, man. And this without the added with the an influx of talent. But we'll see, man. We'll see. So there you have it. Chargers hired, not Chargers, excuse me. The Saints hired former Chargers head coach Brandon Staley to become the new defensive coordinator. And Pro Football and Sports Network believes that the Saints can win 9 games in 2025. So that means you win 9 games, you go 9-8, and possibly 9 wins will get you the NFC South. 9 or 10 wins will get you the NFC South. But I'm gonna dive more deep into that situation, to the NFC South as a whole, as the months go by, leading up to the 2025 season. So we'll see how it all play out. But that's all I have for y'all for right now. Give me a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know how you feel. What are your thoughts on the Saints hiring Brandon Staley to become the next defensive coordinator? Do you feel as though this team has the potential to win 9 games this upcoming season? And check out sportsview360.com/Saints for latest content on the Saints organization. Have a blessed day. Peace. I'm out.